might follow them. Out in the quiet forest, it was hard not to imagine monsters lurking in every shadow. The apprentice journey was usually made with a master adventurer as a chaperone, if not Guildmistress Frond herself. That Frond trusted Callum to lead her 5 young recruits said much about him, and about the bond that the human adventurers and elven rangers had formed over the years. Zed only wished that the High Ranger wasn't so quiet and brooding. He had 1,000 questions for Callum, only several hundred of which he'd been able to ask before the elf finally called for silence. Jett spotted their goal. "There," he grunted. The dwarf hefted an iron maul in one hand, training it toward a particularly large snowbank. Zed squinted at the pile that Jett was pointing to, and then suddenly he saw it. The snow parted over a tapered arch at the bottom of the mound. They weren't huddled near a snowdrift. They were standing at a doorway. The 6 crept forward, congregating around the partially buried door. Liza began shoveling the snow with her shield, and soon all the apprentices joined in, digging away at the pile. Callum neither helped nor commented. The elf merely watched, those bright eyes glinting in the moonlight. Once they had dug away the pile, they saw the door itself was covered by a thick layer of ice, hoarfrost that had hardened over time. Zed could just make out a handle and lock buried under all that ice. The door appeared to be made of solid metal. Jett pointed to his shiny new hammer, an excited gleam in his eyes. He'd been itching to use it on the mission, but hadn't had a chance yet. Micah and Liza both emphatically shook their heads no, their dark eyes and olive-skinned faces similarly grave. It was a rare moment of agreement between the twins. Brock smirked, then raised his eyebrows at Zed. He wiggled his fingers toward the door. "Right," Zed whispered. "Everyone stand back." He braced his feet and raised both palms toward the frozen doorway, linking his thumbs and closing his eyes. He could hear snow crunching as the other apprentices backed into a wide semicircle. Zed glanced over his shoulder to make sure Callum was watching. The elf gave a little nod. Silently, Zed called upon his mana. The flames began as green ribbons snaking between his fingers, but soon they joined together and poured forth in a bright emerald torrent. In 6 weeks of training with Hexam, Zed had yet to match the power or precision from his first use of the spell, the blast that had destroyed the horrific monster threatening all of Freestone. Still, anything caught within a 6-foot cone in front of him would burn, and burn fast. The green flames seemed hungrier than normal fire, even other magical fire. Zed opened his eyes to see that the ice was quickly boiling away. His friends' faces looked eerie, lit by the otherworldly glow. He quashed his mana with practiced care, lest it eat through the door entirely. The flames guttered out from his hands, revealing a steaming metal archway, barely 6 feet tall. Zed grinned, pleased with his work. After weeks of mishaps, this had been his finest spell-casting yet. He glanced back again at Callum, and was dismayed to find that the elf had already turned away. Callum scraped at the ground, bringing a fistful of frozen earth to his nose. He sniffed it, his eyes narrowing as he sifted the particles between his fingers. Brock moved forward, gingerly touching the iron padlock that was fastened to the door. Apparently satisfied it wouldn't broil his palm, he lifted it in one hand and peered into the keyhole. Then he produced a pick and torsion wrench with a quick flourish, as if he'd plucked them from the keyhole instead of his sleeve. He curtsied theatrically to Liza, who snorted. Brock had been practicing that trick for weeks. As Brock set to work picking the lock, Zed repressed a wave of almost delirious hunger. The strain of marching all these hours without a true meal suddenly tugged at his belly. Once inside, hopefully they could stop to eat something beyond travel oats and crumbs of cheese. "Oh, look," said Jett. "A raccoon." Zed glanced up, following Jett's figure, to where a squat, cat-like creature watched them curiously from the trees. Its reflective eyes shone behind a mask of black fur. Zed had learned the names of so many strange animals in the past several weeks, animals that lived only beyond the wall. Sometimes it was hard to remember which were natural and which were dangers. "Aren't you cool, little guy?" Jett called up. The raccoon blinked, but was otherwise still. Zed didn't know much about such creatures, but this didn't look like a particularly healthy specimen. Its ribs jutted out, visible beneath